Here we are getting ready to head into the San Diego State game. Hey, had a good practice today. Obviously, we're disappointed in the outcome of the game last week, but the guys, once again, came in, had a good attitude, good practice today. A lot of work we got to get done between now and Saturday. San Diego State's a big physical football team. They've been that for a long time. It's kind of an interesting deal when you look at their last 6 games. Every game has been decided by 1 score or less. They've lost one of those, and 4 of the 6, they've been down in the fourth quarter. And it's just, it's a reflection. I talked about it earlier. I mean, it's just a program that knows how to win. They find a way. They believe they're going to find a way to win. And, and you watch those game fields in their entirety, and they just kind of, they do enough to kind of hang around. They get down, but, they come back and, make a lot of plays at the end. It was interesting last week to watch, too. Wasn't sure if Washington or Chapman would get back in. They didn't play in the first quarter, and then in the second quarter, both of them came back in the game and did some really good things. Chapman didn't look as mobile, man. He threw the ball really, really well, and Washington came in and had a big score at the end to go ahead and, win the game for them. So, again, they're a good football team. We've played them, every year, so we know them well. It's a game we're going to have to, really understand, that this is going to be a big physical contest. They're going to load the box. They're a high-pressure defense. They're going to get after you. Offensively, they want to run power. They want to get downhill. They want to shorten the game, play action, and take their shot. So we got to do a really good job of prepping for this game and moving forward. A couple things on injuries. It looks like Perry most likely will be out this week with a shoulder injury. Coming back should be Jericho Flowers. He practiced today, so that's a good thing. Greg Francis' season is done. He'll have surgery here coming on up, and Jaron Caldwell looks to be out this week also on the offensive line. Francis is also a shoulder, and Caldwell's a foot. So it shouldn't be season-ending. It just and he's questionable for this week.
What's the latest on Armani?
The same thing. Again, he practiced today. We're just trying to raise his level of comfort in there. He's definitely not 100% running right now, so we'll see how the week progresses.
So is it looking like if you had to take a shot at guess that Max will be your starter, or are you going to how it goes the next
I'd guess right now that Max would be our starter. It would depend on on how Monty progressed throughout the week. But Max is he's doing a good job right now. We want Armani to be comfortable to to have a week of taking all the 1 reps before we go ahead and start him in there. It's not unlikely that he plays in the game. Again, it'll really depend on how he progresses throughout the course of the week, his level of comfort, his mobility, things like that. So we want that to be at a level that he's comfortable with, we're comfortable with, the medical staff's comfortable with. If he is, then he could very well get in the game. But I perceive Max starting right now.
Is there any sort of baseline that Armani has to to meet in order to be playable, or is it just sort of the eye test and you're just sort of feeling it out?
It's really his communication and kind of the eye test. Well, first of all, make sure there's no inflammation. It swelled a little bit last week, not egregiously, just a little bit of swelling. And part of that's just because it's been immobile for so long. It's kind of, normal for it to swell a little bit. Again, he went out there today and moved around and looked pretty good moving around. Wasn't overly comfortable with it on Saturday, and that's one of the reasons you didn't see him on Saturday. He's got to believe that, he can go and he feels comfortable with it, and he'll kind of know and be the judge of that, and again, communicate with the medical staff. And I'm just kind of waiting for the thumbs up. They give us a thumbs up, we'll start preparing to get him in there. But again, their communication, just kind of watching it, and I think, again, it's one of those deals where he just, need a little bit of time to get that thing loosened up and moving again. Structurally, he's good, though.
If they both play, how do you balance the 2 different sets of offenses you've set up around Max and Armani?
Well, I mean, really, there are variations of it. I mean, obviously, we've been a high percentage throw team with Max. Some of the quarterback run stuff isn't in there. So all it would really be, the passing game wouldn't be much different. You might not have the same percentage of calls, that we're doing with Max, but you just kind of insert some of that run game stuff that Armani had done. Now, having said that, if he's not 100%, comfortable, and being, I mean, he's going to be mobile. He's going to be able to move, but he might not move like you saw him in the first 4 weeks. So that would obviously change some of the play calling too. But he's more than capable of going out there and throwing it around.
With the way Charles played in the last game, do you think you see him get more carries now?
I do. I mean, it's one of those deals where we've challenged him for a while, and he ran hard last game. I mean, he did a really, really good job. Really proud of the effort that he put in the game. So I do, see him carrying the ball more.
For Jamin and Brandon, when Coach talks about in the midst of this 6-game losing streak, that you guys still come out, on a Monday, fired up, ready to play, and so forth. Where does that? What's that internal? Where does that come from?
That just comes from our coaches talking to us and, keeping us motivated to keep pushing forward and, like on the offensive side, Coach Cotton, he shows us a lot of plays that we're doing well on, and it keeps us motivated to know, like, we do have it in us, and we got to just be more consistent with it. And we go out to practice knowing that we can do what we need to do in game. So it gets us motivated to know, like, we have the talent and we just need to get our confidence more up. But like when we go out to practice, we're just motivated to keep getting better every day.
For us, it's just to go fight, really and truly. Every Saturday you get to play a college football game, so that's just encouragement. Regardless of the score of the last week, you have a new week every week, and it's just about going out and fighting, competing and doing what you love, and that's football. So I feel like it's more the fight. Do you really want to play football? I'm excited to play for a new week, and it's just about going out and just executing.
Any of you guys ever been in the midst of a 6-game losing streak?
Back in high school, I believe my sophomore year, it was pretty. We weren't very good. So yeah, but never since then. No.
No, I didn't really lose much in high school.
Is it almost how Tony's infectious attitude? How does that play with the team? Because he's always upbeat.
Oh yeah, he's always fired up. It definitely gets me going. Coach was getting in my ear a little bit last week in the pregame or the night before the game, and it got me my heart bumping a little bit, and it got me motivated to like really go out there and show them what I got.
Your players are always off your coaches. If your coaches are lacking, they're not really communicating, and the enthusiasm isn't there, the players are going to be off. You never feel that with our coaches. Our coaches are always upbeat, especially with Coach Sanchez. He comes in the same man every day, and that's the best thing about being with Coach Sanchez. He never lets even out the outcome. He could be very disappointed in us. He's never going to really show it. He's going to show how much he has influence in us, how much he cares about us. So he's going to come to work every day hype, and that you just know that to have somebody like that just that's always in your corner hype, you just want to go out there and play your heart out.
Is it kind of hard, Tony, this year with what's gone on? You see these guys all fired up. You're always.
It's disappointing, but it's not hard. At the end of the day, I come to work every day, and I pull up, here, and I'm a college football coach, and I come and I work with these wonderful kids, and and again, we can talk through the years. We knew that building this program would be tough, and is it frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating when you start to see improvement, and all of a sudden you've got roadblocks and landmines and things that occur that you weren't anticipating, right? We could talk about them all day long, but that doesn't help. Talking about injuries or talking about this and that, they're just excuses. You got to figure it out and you got to problem solve it. So what I've told our guys all the time, if you're a senior, you have a great opportunity to continue to move this program forward, to continue to fight, to show to show ourselves more importantly than anybody else, just to show ourselves that we're really dug in for this thing. And if you're a young guy, it's to continue to build and move this thing forward. So there's so many good things that have happened during these kids' careers here, and there's still a quarter of the season left to play. So, it's a great opportunity to go on out there, compete against San Diego State. Obviously, there's a couple more games after that that are going to be, really exciting, competitive ball games, and there's ones out there to go fight for. So it's disappointing at times. And let me tell you, like anybody else, sometimes you sit at that desk and you just got to, take a deep breath, and you know what, you got to collect yourself, but you got to remember what got you here. You got to remember what the mission was. You have to remember, again, it wasn't, hey, where am I going to be tomorrow? It's where we're going to be, down the road, building this thing to last through the future. So if you're going to have success, you're going to deal with hard times. You're going to deal with failure, and obviously we're going through that stuff right now. But I'd be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't had a great deal of success that hasn't gone through something really tough. And we're going through that right now. So we're going to keep our heads up. We're going to be positive about it. We're going to do what we said we were always going to do, and just dig in, keep fighting, and keep building, and keep getting better.
You mentioned San Diego State winning all these close games. They always obviously won for a long time now.
Yeah.
To get that culture instilled where you just have that belief, just how challenging is that?
It's consistency and attitude and consistency and effort, right? You have to have that. And I think the attitude and the effort's been there. Sometimes the execution isn't there. It might be, there's just things that get in your way, and sometimes they can snowball, but you have to be able to recover and move forward. I said it a couple weeks ago, you look at their program, and there was a long, long window on there where San Diego State didn't go to a bowl game. We travel around week to week, and we go to these different stadiums, and, a lot of them, they've got, there hasn't been that lack of success for a long period of of time like you've had here. So you're really building that culture. And you know what? Again, it starts with me. It starts with, our teaching, our coaching, our attitude, the way we structure things. These guys coming in and competing hard every day. But you see a team like San Diego State, and, they figured it out. They figured out how to go out, recruit at a high level, organize at a high level, teach at a high level. They play fast. They play physical. And then when you get a year like this where, a quarterback does go down and a back goes down and other guys have got to come in, they just scrap. I mean, they just scrap and they find a way to get it done. I mean, they got a 3-point win against, San Jose State, where San Jose State was on the 35-yard line going in the last drive of the game on a 4th and 1 and didn't get it. San Diego State wins the game. I mean, there's so many. I mean, you go over and over and over. You get the block pump, right before the half against Air Force, right? And then on the last drive of the game, they drive down and score and, win that game. So, again, that's a team that just has a core inner belief that, hey, we've been through this. We're going to get through it. We need to have one of those big wins. We got to have one of those wins, one of those opportunities that just kind of, starts to create that consistent belief,
Now that the bowl eligibility is off the table for this year, do you sort of shift to, playing younger guys or setting things up for next year? How do you balance that with these last
You know what? I've never really believed in that. I really believe that, you have a senior class that deserves that you focus on them and this team and them finishing strong. Those guys have bled for this program. They've created more change over the last couple of years than has happened here in a long time. That we got a community that, has really believed in these guys, and you see it by that building going up right behind it. I mean, it's one thing to go out and fundraise and get people to buy in. It's another thing to do it when it's all based on faith, right? And the faith is in the players, And so for our senior class, we're going to focus on these guys right now. Young guys have gotten in throughout the course of the year, and that'll continue to happen. But it won't be, hey, let's talk about next year. We got 3 great opportunities in front of us, and I normally don't go ahead, but you got a San Diego State game on the road. That's going to be a tough, physical, frenzied environment. National TV fired up about that. You get a chance to go to Hawaii, which is one of the most beautiful places in the country, play against a really good football team, a place where we've had success, the last couple of years, and then come home and fight for the Cannon. So there's a whole lot to play for right now.
Brandon, having faced San Diego State's defense, it's such a unique defense. What makes it so difficult?
Going into this week, we know that they're going to be a tough defense to go against. They always are. But, it's just going to come down to us. It's not really about what they're going to be doing. Our coaches are going to build a great scheme for what we need to do, and it's just going to come down to us executing what needs to be done. And if we can do that, they're going to have a lot on their hands.
And with what Fresno did with basically dropping in coverage, do you think San Diego State might do something similar? Or do you think they're going to be their usual type of defense?
I think they're going to be their usual self. I mean, they've got a personality that reflects Coach Long. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to get after you. When we've had the success that they've had, you're not going to usually mix that up. I mean, they've done it for a number of years, and they want to get after you, and they want to run the ball right at you. So I don't think that'll change from year to year with them or team to team.
When you think, how old are you, Jay?
I'm a junior.
Okay, and then how old are you?
I'm a junior as well.
So you're 20?
I'm 21.
22.
22?
Yeah.
When you think about the stat, it's a crazy stat that UNLV hasn't won in San Diego. You guys were 2 years old. What do you think about it? When you say that?
Yeah, that's actually that drives you. We haven't really won. UNLV hasn't won in San Diego in a while, and that makes you, like Coach Sanchez says, you have something to fight for. Be a team that beats San Diego State at San Diego State. And it's about just like the fight. It's about what do you really want to do? Are you going to continue or are you going to pout? Season hasn't gone like you wanted. Okay, you going to come fight, or are you just going to not put your shoes on and just stay home? I'm gonna come fight.
You were 2 years old also when they last won there.
Yeah, I didn't even know that statistic actually. And I was born in San Diego, but going back there, I mean, obviously the stadium has a lot of history. So, I mean, going there and being that team that wins in Qualcomm Stadium in, I don't even know how many years that is, 20 years, that's going to be a great feeling when we can accomplish something like that.
Tony, you mentioned the mission, how you want to focus on that mission. How, I don't want to say gratifying, or how, have you talked to the Fertittas? And I mean, they're still 100% behind you. Have you talked to them recently? And, hey, Tony, we're there with you.
You know,
have that kind still, and hey, Tony, we're with you.
Well, it's not just them. There's a lot of people. And the reason is that support, it's not just because they like you. It's because people in this community that are successful, they've been through hard times. They've built companies. They've built businesses. You know, they've seen UNLV for the longest time. And every time it gets tough, what do we do here? We wave the white flag. And we change things up, and it's just, you know, it's just when you got to stay the course at times, you know, whether it works, whether it doesn't. And I truly believe in my heart of hearts, we're going to be, you know, talking about this one day, and it's going to be, wow, man, to get where we needed to go, we had to go through a rough patch, right? But again, the reason people like that support you, and it's not just them, it's just a lot of people in the community. It's not just me they're supporting what we're doing, what we're building. You know, the fact that, you know, these guys were in this first recruiting class, and, you know, you look at what we've done academically. Again, we got to win football games, right? But when you look at the academic mess we took over, you know, looking at a 9.10 APR, and now, you know, when the APR comes out lagging a year behind, it'll be the highest APR in school history, right? We don't have kids that are ineligible anymore. We don't have kids messing up in the community. You know, those things are, you know, we don't worry about those anymore. You know, we're competing, you know, at a higher level, not winning a lot more. We'd gradually been winning, and this year we kind of, you know, hit a rough patch, no doubt, 6-game losing streak, right? But our guys are still fighting. So they see that, and I think they reflect in their own lives, in their own businesses, in their own companies. And, you know, I mean, you look at the economy crash and what this town went through, and people had to literally hang on by a thread and build themselves back. You don't do that by being weak. You don't do that by pointing fingers. You don't do that by waving the white flag. And nobody here, from our players to our coaches to anybody that works in the building, is going to wave a white flag. And I think that's why you see people backing this program, you know, people backing it because they know that turning this thing around is going to be tough, you know, and you got to stay the course. You have to be tougher than the situation. I got a whole lot of fight in me. My boys got a whole lot of fight in them, and we're going to keep doing what we do and moving this thing forward. But when I do talk to them, it's not, you know, as frequently as you'd think, but normally it's about, you know, how we're doing and then how Nico's doing over at Notre Dame. You know, they're in the middle of a heck of a season right now, have a chance to be a, you know, a playoff team. So we talk about that quite a bit. And, you know, Frank's daughter just got married, so we talk about that a little bit, right? I heard it was a heck of a wedding. I missed that one. But anyways, they're good friends and they're good guys. And they're like a lot of people in this community that really want to see UNLV be successful and really understand the fight that it takes.
What's the biggest thing that surprised you that you didn't know about when you took over this program?
Well, honestly, there's a good handful of things. Number one, just, you know, how many different hats you were going to have to wear. I mean, you truly, you know, you have 105 guys and you have 2 full-time academic, academic staff, and, you know, David Wedley, Rob Kohler, nobody does it better, but it's not a lot of guys, you know, and then you're looking at, you know, the mess you're in academically, and okay, we got to get this thing going. And then you look at the infrastructure. I mean, we're, you know, a year from now, we're going to be, you know, doing these press conferences in a brand new, you know, 78,000 square foot building that's going to have, you know, dining hall in it and strength and condition. I mean, you name it, but you look at what we're in right now. I mean, we're in a building that's 50-some-odd thousand square feet, and we share it with multiple men's and women's sports. We share it with compliance. We share it with, it's just different, you know. So you had to take care of infrastructure, you know, you had to take care of academics, you know, you had to make sure you fed the kids better. You had to make sure you went out, you know, and hired a quality staff and paid them a competitive wage. You know, you had to, you know, get the message out in the fundraising. I mean, it was unbelievable. There's so many different hats you have to wear here, and that's okay. That was a job. I knew it. I mean, again, maybe not to the extent, but I knew you were going to have to be creative to get this thing going. Again, UNLV football's been around for, what, 51 years, right? And, you know, and then there's been no consistency and success. And, you know, and we've had some really good coaches here. I don't believe it's because we hired a bunch of bad coaches. I really don't believe that. I just don't know if the support has always been behind it the way that it should have been for the duration that it needed to be. You know, it's so I'm excited about it, though. I mean, it's funny, even sitting here today, taking it in the teeth, 6 weeks in a row, and, but when I sit and I look around and I see the guys and their energy and their effort, and I see what's going on here, and, you look at it as a whole and not just, in a 6-week span, there's a lot of good things happening. We just have to believe it, stay the course, keep the noise out, we'll be just fine.
How will this losing 6-game skid help you in future seasons?
You know what? It builds some mettle. Again, it's one of those deals. Like Chris just asked a question about it. Why do people, support you? Because they understand the mettle it takes. When you go through a patch like that, and it's not just football. I mean, you can just reflect it in life. You go through a tough patch in a relationship. You lose a loved one. You interview for a job and don't get it, or you lose a job, you don't get the promotion. How do you handle that? I mean, do you blame other people? Is it because of him, or is it because of her, because of this? You learn to internally get tougher, to look inward at yourself and what you can do, and to challenge everybody around you to be positive and keep moving forward. So these kind of situations, if you use them correctly and message them correctly, they can make you better.
Coach, you'd use the analogy of turning that boat around, like
Yeah.
the Titanic. Are you? Is it kind of making a swing?
It's swinging. It tapped into a berg and went this way, but we're going to keep it going that way. You know what I'm saying? You just got to, hey, you know, every once in a while you watch those movies and the wheel starts spinning the other way. You got to grab it real quick and start cranking it back. So we'll be all right.